Hey everyone, quite some time ago Caleb J. Ross started my genre project and he asked us to talk about our favorite genres and explain why we like to read that and show some books of that. And upon seeing that video I was like, I don't really have a favorite genre, which is true because if you know me, you know that I'm an eclectic reader. I buy books by the cover without knowing what they're about. I pick random genres. Sometimes I read fantasy, sci-fi, YA, adult fiction, steampunk, everything mixed around. Because I get bored when I read the same thing over and over again. With dystopian novels, I can read one maybe, but then I have to read something else. The same with fantasy. No matter how good the fantasy is, I want to read something other afterwards. But looking at my bookshelves, I have to admit that most of the books I own are adult fiction. All of that shelf and half of this one. Then we have some steampunk, fantasy, sci-fi, more fantasy and YA. So when I have to choose a genre, I guess I'd have to say I like adult fiction the most. I know it's not really a genre, but I like to read books that are classified under adult fiction because they give me more options. It's not only one single thing. What I like about adult fiction is that they're mainly telling stories of people's lives. It's not always plot-driven or there's an adventure or mystery to solve. It's usually talking about people and their lives and the struggles they experience, maybe because of a certain situation, or also the struggles they experience because life and their life situation, because that might be different from mine. And I like to read that because it allows me to dive into different worlds that I would not be allowed to live in otherwise. But it's not only the stories I like in adult fiction, I also like the writing because you can experiment with writing a lot in adult fiction. You have the opportunity to go into different writing styles, to play with layout, to play with the words, to play with the storytelling. Often I like when books don't go just from beginning to end, but jump around with flashbacks and with different narrators where you see the same thing maybe from different perspectives, or you have different perspectives all around and multiple narrators, multiple things going on at the same time, which all get back together at the end and then it all makes sense and you have to basically read the book again to understand what was going on. And I do like that. I also like magical realism, which I put under adult fiction because magical realism combines the natural world we live in with the magical world, but not in a clear fantasy style. So there are just some fluent...
Don't know what.
Enough of explanations. Let's have a look at some books. I cannot talk about adult fiction without mentioning Graham Swift. He's one of my favorite authors and all of his writing works with people in, towards the middle or the end of their life, and they look back at how they've lived, what they've done. We get a lot of flashbacks. He always talks about some losses and some consequences, how the past shaped the present, and I enjoy his writing style a lot. Speaking of writing style, of course I have to mention all of Jonathan Safran Foer's writing, because he tells stories with multiple narrators. He plays with the layout and applies pictures to tell his story, and he creates art with his books. This book is made out of holes, so you can read it in multiple ways. Then there are other books from other parts of the world. The Opium Wars in China, life in Afghanistan, growing up as a teenager in India, or being stuck on a small island during civil war. I could go on and on like this and talk about books that just have beautiful writing and that are worth reading just because of the writing style, no matter what the story is. But we don't have forever. And you don't want to hear me talk about my favorite books again and over and over and over. Have you not read it yet? Pick it up, because this book has everything. So there you have an idea why I like to read adult fiction. It's very diverse, it is rich, it makes you travel and experience other things, and the writing, always just the writing. Thank you for watching and let me know what your favorite genre is. Bye bye.